All right, good morning, guys. You guys should just finish up your do not question for the day. In your own words, explain what a budget is and why are they created. So this is something I might have mentioned before in class a couple times. Hopefully this is something you've at least maybe heard of before in the past if you don't know exactly what it is. So a budget at the end of the day is essentially just a plan for your money. So if I'm making my personal budget, or if me and Mr. Warren are making our personal budget for ourselves, okay, here we're basically going to say, okay, here's how much money that we make every week, or here's how much money we make every month, and then we figure out, okay, what are we going to do with it? Oh, we got to spend this much money on rent or a house payment. We got to spend this much money on food. We got to spend this much money on the electric bill, the water bill, whatever it may be. And so you're saying, okay, we're going to spend this much on this much on this much on this. And so that's all it is. So I think some people maybe had a preconceived notion of, oh, it involves too much math, it involves a bunch of, it's complicated, it's too hard, this, that, and the other. When at the end of the day, it's really just that simple. It's basically saying, hey, I make this much, and hey, I'm going to spend this much on this much on this. And so at the end of the day, I can go, oh, awesome, I got some money left over. Hey, crap, I don't have enough money to pay all my bills. So what can I do about it? So whatever you guys have, make sure you get 4 sentences, make sure you get it down. All right, so today, we only have one word to add to our vocab list and to our notes, and then you guys are going to have kind of a separate assignment that's going to take most of the time. So I'm just going to give you a formalized definition of budget, just so you have it down for your notes, then I'll explain what your guys' assignment is for the day. So, as I said before, budget, if you just want to simply put it, a plan for your money, or a slightly more technical definition, an estimate of future revenues, and expenses. So this is a little bit closer to if you Googled this definition, what you guys might find there if you found it in the dictionary. So an estimate of future revenues and expenses. So simply put, first off, it's an estimate. So we don't know exactly how much maybe the water bill or the electric bill is going to be next month. But we kind of know from the past months, hey, we spend roughly this much every month on water and electric. Sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower, kind of depending on the season, depends on use. So it's an estimate of future revenue. So that's a fancy word for how much money I make, my income. Oh, I'm making an estimation of if I get paid hourly, I'm going to make right around $400 a week or however much it may be. And say, once I know how much money I make a week, and then an estimate of, okay, what's roughly my expenses? How much do I got to pay for rent? How much do I got to pay for these bills? And so, once again, just estimations of these two numbers, so at the end of the day, you can go, okay, awesome, I got some extra money, or hey, crap, I'm not making enough money, I need to do something about that now while I'm thinking about it. So, like I said, just a simple estimate of future revenues and expenses. So, when we talk about budgets, a budget is essentially the exact same thing at pretty much any kind of level. So you have your personal budget. The city of Indianapolis has its budget. So the mayor and people in charge say, okay, here's how much money we have as a city. Here's how much money we collected in taxes. Now here's what we're going to do with it. We have to spend this much money on this much money on this. And then at the state level, they decide, okay, here's how much money we collected in state taxes. Here's how much money we got to spend on education. Here's how much money we got to spend on the roads, and so on and so forth. Hopefully by now you guys are recognizing a trend. Once again, it's the exact same thing at each level. The only difference is how much money there is to spend and what exactly I'm spending it on. Then at the federal level, okay, what are some things the federal government has to pay for? Because, you pay money into federal taxes, state taxes, local taxes, whatever it may be. So what do they do with that money? How do they decide what goes where? And what should I spend this much money on or spend this much money on? So, on a separate sheet of paper, on a separate sheet, or however you guys are doing it, don't put it with your notes. Your assignment for the day is to make a few different categories. So, this is just an example. You don't have to quite do it this way, but just if you want to, this kind of just give you an idea. So, we have federal, we have state, we have city or town, then we have personal. I guess I'll just write federal. So, we got these 4 different categories, 4 different types of budgets. So what I want you guys to do is come up with a list. let's say 6. I like 6. So 6 things that the federal government might have in their budget, 6 things the state government might have in their budget, and so on and so forth. And yes, I want you guys to try to come up with something different. Don't just put, oh, the federal government, they have to pay for roads. The state government's got to pay for roads. The city has to pay for roads. Try to come up with something a little bit different. And so, once again, just a list of 6 for each of them. At these levels, what are some things that they might have to budget? What are some things that they might have to spend money on? Just kind of be thinking about that. And so, go ahead if you need to. Go ahead and pause the video, get that done, and I'll kind of wrap this up here in just a second. All right, so after you guys have that assignment done, if you guys notice, down at the bottom of the description, I gave you guys the notes, I gave you guys categories, and then I gave you guys a number of categories such as rent, utilities, transportation, and if you look next to them, there are certain percentages next to them. So on average, so it's a little bit different for everybody. This is not 100% guaranteed. This is kind of a rough estimate on when you're making your budget, how much of your income, how much of your paychecks should go to each of these categories. So roughly 25 to 35% of how much money you make in total should go to either rent or a mortgage, how much you're paying for housing, shelter. Utilities, between 5 and 10% of your monthly income, or your income, and so on and so forth. So the whole idea is just kind of give an idea, okay, if I'm paying half of my entire paycheck, half of my check into rent, or if I'm paying like 60% into rent every month, maybe I need to start thinking, hey, ways to get around that. Maybe I should find a place with lower rent, or maybe maybe find a cheaper house to live in. If I'm spending, 40 to 50% of my budget on food every month, okay, what are some ways I can, kind of reduce that? Because at the end of the day, the ideal, you'd like to have enough money for each of these categories, including saving down at the end. And so, kind of discussed that a little bit in the past, and something we'll discuss more in the future. As always, if you guys got any questions, shoot me a comment in the comment section below, or shoot me an email. Get back to you as soon as I can. I'll talk to you guys next time.